This NBA legend claims Jordan's era was softer than LeBron's, man. What is going on, YouTube fam? It's your boy YUNGFAB tapping back in with another vid. You know what I'm saying? And today we got, man, you already know the title to the vid. But my bad, my voice sounds a little weird. You know what I'm saying? I got a bit of a stuffy nose and sore throat, chat. So stick with me. But I was like, I'm gonna just, you feel me, just relax, heal up, bye. Right after some NBA ball, man, what's better than that, man? If y'all need a chance to just hit that subscribe button, man, so y'all don't miss any of the vids, man. Hey, let's go.
So now we got Jason Williams, white chocolate himself, saying Michael Jordan had it easier to score in the 90s because of illegal defense rules.
Okay.
Now listen, I get what he's trying to say. I understand the point. He's saying Jordan often only had to beat that first defender, while today players like LeBron have to deal with more loaded up help defenders waiting on the strong side. It sounds smart at first,
Okay.
but here's the problem.
What? What's the
The
problem?
argument leaves out a huge part of reality. Actually,
what?
more than a huge part. Because if you really break this down honestly, it starts falling apart fast.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you exactly why. Because in my opinion, this is one of those modern NBA talking points that sounds educated until you actually think it through, and then it's uneducated. Let's talk about it.
Okay. And then it's uneducated, man. Hey, welcome back to the basketball show, man. Let's go. Check out his channel as well. You know what I'm saying? We'll be reacting to a couple of his vids, so show him some support.
All right, so before I play the Jason Williams clip, let me say this first. I'm not here to act like illegal defense rules meant nothing, okay? That would be dumb.
Illegal
They
defense
did matter.
rule.
They absolutely mattered. Back then, defenses could not just stand wherever they wanted the same way they can now.
Okay.
Today, teams can load up more, shade more, sit in gaps more, and show bodies earlier. So yes, that changed the game.
Okay.
But what I do not agree with is when people take that one point and stretch it into this lazy conclusion that Jordan somehow had an easier life as a scorer. Like, really? That's where I completely disagree. Because scoring difficulty is not just about whether a second defender is standing a little closer on the wing. That is only one piece of the puzzle. You also
And I used to think that, chat, that the 90s defense was a bit softer, you know what I'm saying? And I've reacted to a lot of 90s ball, you know what I'm saying? And there's definitely a lot of difference between, you know, like the type of rules that, like, just like how we were saying the teams were playing on, specifically even on MJ himself too, bro. Like the 90s was rough. The 2000s and 2010s, like, of course, like, ball's always going to progress and improve. But, I mean, defense is just different now, you know what I'm saying? So
have to ask, how physical was the on-ball defense? What did the spacing look like? What kind of rim protectors were waiting at the basket? What kind of big men were in the league? How much contact was allowed?
That's a good question.
And how
the
many
big men back then in the 90s must have been completely different to the big men nowadays. Like, big men nowadays can dribble, can shoot, and of course they're dunking, getting boards and everything else. But you see a lot more like drive focused play with big guys nowadays than back then. Back then, like, they would just sit paint and play very you know, just formical with a game.
elite defenders were packed into the paint in that era? And when you start asking those kinds of questions, now the conversation changes. Because Jordan did not play in some soft little fantasy land where he just beat one guy and got a layup every time. That's nonsense. Once Jordan got by the first defender, he often had to finish over or around monsters in the paint. Real defenders, real shot blockers, real intimidators. Not just guys rotating over late
I mean,
because
why are we acting like they got shorter in the modern day, bro? They only got taller in the modern day. Now we got big men that are 7'6" shooting fadeaway 3-pointers, bro. No one was doing that back in even the 2000s.
Which told them to clock the strong side.
It's crazy.
So go ahead and listen to what Jason Williams said. I understand the point he's making. I just think the conclusion is crazy weak.
Of course, man. Like say when MJ played, like I don't know if you guys remember, the rest would give you like a legal defense sign. That'd be one shot and the ball on the side, right?
Right.
But what that meant was, like, say MJ had the ball on the wing,
Okay.
and his primary defender was guarding him, right? and then the weak side, the guy weak side in the weak side corner, whoever was guarding that guy had to stay on the opposite block.
That's right.
You know, if he came across the paint and stayed there without a hand's length away from his guy, that's illegal defense. So MJ, you know what I'm saying, he just had to beat that first guy, and he wasn't thinking about that. That primary defender had no chance on not anybody really in the NBA that has a green light, right?
Okay,
Nobody
can
can guard
I'm
anybody
understanding.
one-on-one,
It's kind of like
especially Michael Jordan. So nowadays they changed that rule where now say, I'm just going to use LeBron for an example because that's the argument, LeBron MJ. If LeBron has the ball on the wing, that primary defender is right there. Now he has a secondary defender right at this ball side elbow, and he has another secondary defender at the ball side block. So he not worried about the primary defender again. He gets by that guy and he makes the right pass. You know, the best coach I ever played for was UB Brown. He had 3 rules: be on time, know when to shoot, know when to pass. So I think LeBron receives a lot of bullshit at the end of games because he don't take the shot, because he makes the right play. There's a guy wide open. Of course he's going to make that play. Where MJ, when he played, there was illegal defense shit. He get by his guy, he's scoring all the time because he only had one guy. I don't think a lot of people realize about the illegal defense back in the day. They just see Jordan scoring all these points, and rightfully so. A bad dude. Don't get me wrong. But you know, LeBron's got it different now. It's just harder to score nowadays in the NBA as it was then. And I understand, you know, you say Jordan got beat down by the Pistons, this, that, and the other, and people say they'd do that to LeBron. No, they wouldn't, because LeBron's bigger than these dudes.
Bro, Jason Williams played against LeBron, so I mean he's literally speaking from experience.
They foul him hard, but they're not hitting him, knocking him down like they did Michael Jordan.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
All right, so now that you heard that, here's my issue with it.
Okay.
The dumbest statement here was Michael Jordan had it easier and LeBron James has it harder now in the NBA. I hope Jason didn't smoke anything before he went on that podcast. I don't know. Jason is also focusing on one thing and acting like that one thing explains the whole story. It does not. Yes, illegal defense rules in the 90s could limit how early teams loaded up. Yes, in today's game, defenders can crowd space differently and send help in ways that were not allowed back then. Fine. I'm not denying that. Okay?
I see.
But that still does not mean Jordan had it easier to score overall, if at all. And here is why. Jordan played after the rules changed and was still cooking. This is one of the biggest holes in this whole argument. If the illegal defense rules were such a gigantic reason for Jordan's scoring, then why did he come back with Washington at nearly 39 years old, after years away from the league, under the newer defensive environment, and still looked like an elite scorer before his injuries? That matters.
I mean, he looked like was the big word there, chat. Looked like. He was putting up like 20 points, though. It was pretty solid in his 30s and his like 40, 41.
That is a real life evidence, not theory. Jordan didn't just exist after the rule change. He was out there giving people buckets. Before his body started breaking down, he was averaging around 25 points a game, and even 27 points a game, around 27 points a game, in about 20 games before his injury. And he was looking like a star again at an age where most players are finished or completely
Wizards
washed.
MJ was pretty solid.
And that was not prime Bulls Jordan. That was old Jordan.
Right.
Rusty Jordan. Post-retirement Jordan. And bad knees coming Jordan. Okay? So if a nearly 39-year-old Jordan can still score like that after the defensive changes, what exactly are we supposed to believe? You know, that prime Michael Jordan is in his athletic peak would suddenly be neutralized by some defenders standing at the elbow? Come on. This guy can't be serious. I don't know if this is a comedy show or whatever.
He dissing up on Jason Williams, chat. Y'all gotta let me know what y'all think about this vid so far, man. But I'm kind of like on the fence still about like, is Jason Williams right? Or, you know what I'm saying, is Mr. Basketball Show right?
That doesn't even pass the smell test. If anything, Jordan's Wizards run destroys the lazy version of this argument. Because it shows that even when the defensive rules changed, he was still more than capable of being a dominant scorer.
Yeah, definitely.
So no, I'm not buying the idea that illegal defense is the magical explanation for Jordan's numbers. That's way too convenient, Jason. Now, the other point is once
it can definitely be something that applies to it. Now, I wouldn't say it's everything, though.
got past his man, he ran into far better interior defenders. And this one to me is even stronger. Because Jason is talking like once Jordan beat the first defender, it was just open highway to the rim. He literally said once he got past this guy,
it was sometimes.
he just
Not
went to the
every
basket
time.
and scored.
But that's just
That's
ball.
one of the dumbest statements in this whole thing.
It's true.
You know,
It's
he
not a
didn't
good
do that.
statement.
Who was waiting for Jordan in the paint in that era? Mutombo, Olajuwon, Ewing, Mourning, David Robinson, Tim Duncan. Sean Kemp in his prime was a serious athlete and presence.
Yup.
Patrick Ewing was there.
Patrick
Alonzo
Ewing.
Mourning was
Patrick
there.
Ewing was
Hakeem
always
there.
getting
Dikembe
dunked
was
on.
there. This is not a
Look,
freaking
Patrick
joke.
Ewing got dunked on right
That
there.
era had
Chad.
a ridiculous amount of elite interior defenders, rim protectors, and big men who could actually make you think twice before going in there. So yes, maybe the help defender wasn't legally standing in a certain spot as early as today, but once Jordan attacked, he often had to finish over serious freaking size, serious timing, serious shot blocking, and serious physicality.
Oh my god.
That part always gets ignored
gosh.
by people trying to downplay Michael Jordan.
Wow.
They only talk about the perimeter rules. They do not talk about the fact that the back line of these defenses was nastier. And let's be honest here. A lot of the big men LeBron has
It was more
attacked over
violent
the years
defense.
are not even close to the same level defensively. And there
Not?
were not as many of them either.
I mean,
That's the-
2000s and 90s was somewhat similar.
Not even a hot take. That's freaking true. The league changed. The game became more spaced out.
Yep,
A
that's
lot
true.
of bigs got pulled away from the rim more.
That's true.
The old
That's why we're
school
seeing so
paint
much more
monster-
big guys shooting threes and everything now. That's just the way the game has evolved, chat.
Became less common.
Okay.
So yes, LeBron has seen more help defenders loaded up in certain spots. Fine. But Jordan often saw a tougher world waiting for him at the basket. That matters.
Okay.
Now the big thing
Now, I mean, LeBron bigger. Jordan smaller, but he's still getting on these big guys. You know what I'm saying?
Jason leaves out.
I don't know. I'm still
He
kind of
only
siding with the
counts
90s.
one side of the trade-off. This is the heart of my disagreement. Jason is acting like defensive rules can be summarized with one sentence. Jordan had one guy to beat. LeBron has more help defenders waiting. That is not basketball analysis. That is oversimplification. Because every era has trade-offs. Jordan may have had less legal pre-rotation in certain situations. But he also dealt with more physical perimeter defense, more hand checking, worse spacing around him,
Hand checking.
fewer shooters spread out all over the floor, more ugly half-court traffic, and better rim protecting big men waiting inside. LeBron, on the other hand, has had more spacing, more three-point shooting around stars,
That's true.
more room to operate, less hand checking, if any,
More room to
more freedom
operate,
of movement
and
protection.
he'd still get double teamed. You know what I'm saying? And kind of going back to, I guess, what Jason Williams was saying. Like, it would really just be everyone on their own, man. When we look at 90s ball highlights, the videos y'all send me, it's very one-on-one. And does Michael Jordan get double teamed? Of course, and I've even seen MJ get triple teamed, but not as often as, honestly, the modern NBA.
And a league where many teams don't even value traditional interior defense the same way. So if you want to be fair, you have to admit both sides got different advantages.
Yeah, that's
What
true.
you cannot
That's
do
true.
is take one rule from the 90s, isolate it, and then use it to imply Jordan had an easier time
90s
scoring.
still got it, bro.
That is a weak logic. There is a reason players like Kevin Durant himself say Jordan in today's game would average whatever he wanted to average.
50 points.
He was
is
just
too much,
superior.
though.
And he actually played
45,
45,
50.
not
Yeah.
easier. The unbelievable push to rewrite history and change narratives is ridiculous at this point. People like Jason Williams embarrass themselves with statements like this.
Wow.
Now, here's the real problem with his
Chat.
argument.
Y'all gotta let me know
A
more
lot
about
of
this down
people
below.
today start with the conclusion they want and then work backwards. They want to say modern stars have it harder. They want to make Jordan's numbers look less
I
impressive.
mean, there's more teams, bruh. A lot more
They
people
wanna
to go up against, but that kind of spreads out. You know what I'm saying? Also, the All-Stars, man.
Make it sound like the old era was simple and primitive. So they grab illegal defense and act like they solved the whole case. They didn't.
They didn't.
Because if Jordan had it so easy, Why was the league's scoring environment lower back then? If Jordan had it so easy,
Talk about, like, points
why were
made per game?
defenses more brutal physically? And if Jordan had it so easy, why did he still score after rules changed? Now, if Jordan had it so easy, why did he keep doing this against elite
Because he's
playoff
MJ,
defenses
bro. He's MJ. At the end of the day, man, he's Michael Jeffrey Jordan, man.
over and over again? That's where the argument starts breaking. And that's why I disagree with Jason Williams.
Okay.
Not because everything he said is false. Some of it is true about the rules, but not the ease of scoring Jordan had. I disagree because the conclusion is misleading. Yes, illegal defense rules helped shape the game. No, they do not prove Jordan had an easier to score overall. And in my opinion,
Not to the extent that at least Jason Williams is trying to claim, I feel like. Not at least
once
to
you
that
factor in Jordan proving he could still score after the defensive rules changed, plus the level of interior defenders he had to attack in his era, the argument actually starts leaning the other way. I will say this. The idea that the Jordan scoring was inflated because he only had to beat one defender is a lazy, incomplete, and pretty weak argument.
Ooh, and chat. Ooh.
Because basketball is not just about the first defender. It's about what happens after him, too.
It's all the point.
And when Jordan got past the first guy, he was often heading straight into hell. So that's my take.
Okay.
Jason Williams makes a point that has some truth to it, but he pushes it way too far.
Okay, chat. What do y'all gotta say on this video, man, and everything stated out? Do y'all agree with Jason Williams, or do y'all agree with the basketball show? You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of on his side with, like, the 90s where, like, when I've seen the highlights in the gameplay, man, it's just really rough and violent, and, like, it looks painful. But, like, the 2000s more spread out. You know what I'm saying? More double teams and stuff like that. But I mean, each era got their benefit, but I'm still going with Michael Jordan's 90s, man. Y'all let me know down below what y'all thoughts are. But hey, like, comment, and subscribe, man. Have a good day, and I'm going to catch you on the next one. Yes, sir.